So another story from Tales of a Chocolate Smuggler. This is the last story from this book. And it's called A Sail on the Horizon. Right, A Sail on the Horizon. A candle in the window. In the beginning there was a man alone in a world he did not understand. He felt safe when he was near the ocean, and he went there often. He was born near the sea. He was a dreamer, a wanderer. He travelled alone and he searched, for he was a gypsy. He looked to his personal horizons, searching for a sail. He looked for a candle in the window put there just for him. In a long ago place of infinite calm, a child mind was born. The unformed mind slowly became filled with knowledge and the myriad of facts which minds tend to become filled with. It had no name. It had no face. It was, after all, just a mind. The mind grew and eventually realized that in order to be like the other minds all around, it would need to see some light. A mind without legs, without eyes, without a body, what is that? The mind searched and eventually found the perfect partner, a strange little man who stumbled and bumbled his way through life, without a thought in his head or a care in the world. In the body of this strange and raggedy man, the mind would learn the secrets of the world, read the meaning of the winds, and see what it needed to see. Without so much as a by your leave, it popped itself into the brain of the small unkempt man. The mind was excited and looked at the world for the first time. Even though it had never before seen anything, it recognized the little man. There was a wistful melancholy about his attitude which seemed so familiar that it did not pass unnoticed. Who is this strange little raggedy man? The raggedy man walked the earth. He worked hard and lived for the moment. He was older and slower with each passing year. Life for him was no longer a series of death-defying stunts. Life was for him now a precious drink to be sipped and savoured and treasured. He wished and longed for someone to share with, to play with, to talk to, and to hold him when the ghosts of dragons long gone screamed in the night. But who would want an old raggedy man? One day, as the little raggedy man was out stumbling and bumbling in the world, he chanced across a bright laughing girl. Her hair was silver and gold, like it was spun from the most precious of metals. She bounced and laughed and shone in his eyes. Her life force was bright and filled with colour. He stared at her and rubbed his grimy eyes. When he opened them, she was gone. All that was left was a many-coloured haze slowly dissipating in the air. She is light in colour, he said in wonder. He looked perplexed for a minute, scratching his raggedy head, and resumed his travelling. In his travels he sometimes thought he could see her, at a distance, in the gloom, like a beacon in the dark, never quite there, just beyond comprehension. Always around her, the lights, the colour, and the laughter. Who is she, this light and bright, this movement and colour? She is a healer and a dancer. She is beauty and light and colour, said the mind. The raggedy man spun round in surprise and stared suspiciously about. Seeing no one, he merely shrugged his shoulders and walked on. For what do you seek? What is your quest? The raggedy man looked about in confusion. I seek fulfillment and companionship. I need peace and joy. I seek the vision of crystalline perfection. I want to eat porridge in the middle of the night and stew in the morning. I wish to make love with someone I love while the rain pours outside. I want to dance and jump and paint a kitchen table bright red. I want to juggle and smuggle and huggle and juggle. I want to be held and whisper conversations in the pre-dawn hours. I want someone to read me stories. I want passion. I want a hat and a pony and a bright yellow boat. And I want the bright and bouncing girl to walk with me a ways down the road. Is that all? The raggedy man swivelled his eyes from side to side. He couldn't see anyone. He walked away quickly. He didn't like this strange invisible companion who was following him around. One day, in the middle of a particularly difficult travel, he bumped into her again. Bump! Just like that. He jumped up and down, smiled and cheered and clapped his hands in excitement. I've been looking for you. Let's eat some ice cream and chocolate and watch the sunrise over the sea, he said. It seemed that she would answer. Instead, she smiled. She shimmered in the haze and slowly disappeared. He could hear her laughter as it tinkled and sprinkled around him like fairy dust, slowly echoing in the distance. She was gone once again. There was something so familiar about her that he felt as if he knew her from another adventure, another place. It is soul-meeting. I believe she knows the manner of the old ways, the ways of the gypsy and the seafarer, the ways of the surfer, the ways of tradition. Foolish little Raggedy Man, said the mind. He shrugged his shoulders. It will happen. Something will happen, for good or bad, for right or wrong. Idiot. The Raggedy Man was growing accustomed to the strange voice and now tended to ignore it, unless it was saying something funny. I could not have climbed any mountains while looking from the ground. I would not have flown or dived or surfed or swum. I am not a tourist nor a spectator. This is the life I have left, and I will not waste it like some rubberneck. The mind rolled its eyes and shrugged its shoulders. Idiot. One day the Raggedy Man made up his mind. He took some of his courage and some of his dreams. He rolled them into a ball and threw them in the air. The dream ball caught the wind and the sun and glowed with a bright light. It shimmered and hovered and danced before his eyes. It made a sound like a sob, like glass breaking, like a dragon crying, like the sound of distant waves. It sped into the west, and he wondered if he would ever see it again. In a place we all have been, but no one ever remembers, a beautiful woman once lived. She lived a busy life filled with joy and sometimes pain. She was peaceful and gentle, and she met a gypsy who made her laugh. He wanted to look in her soul. She wanted to fly in the sky and visit a cloud. She wanted to be safe, explore the world. He wanted her to laugh in the small hours of his night. He was a Raggedy Man, and she was a bright and bouncing girl. The end. Thank you, and good night.